So I picked up something from Insightful Accountant, and you'll never guess, Ryan, but this is also about how accounting firms can use AI agents to have better advisory conversations. So this came from a product in our ecosystem, but I guess more aligned probably with the US and America. And it's sort of it's being built out by Accountero, which is like I said, an advisory-based app sort of for drilling into the data, predominantly in your QuickBooks. I think they do have a Xero integration as well, but obviously being the US product, QuickBooks is where they spend most of their time. And one of the things that they have been trying to demonstrate with this product is how do you stop like the interruptions and the challenges that we get from like just thinking, which I think is a really interesting way of using AI, because quite often the challenges we've seen and some of the news that we've seen from like the utilization of AI is it actually affects the way that we think as human beings, and it diminishes our capability to kind of have constructive thought processes and create the necessary challenge and stuff. And this is really about how do we almost like block time in our diary to sort of think properly about a problem and a challenge without the constant interruptions of emails, client queries, phone calls, whatever it is, and just really get into the weeds of something. So I thought that was quite an interesting thing. The basic point of this is that they have two AI agents that Accountero have built out. One is called Aimee, one is called Paige, and they have specific roles. So Aimee is a conversational AI agent, basically trained on your technology stack. I don't know how it draws all of that up, and obviously if you're a firm that has on-prem solutions, which some larger firms will definitely still have, a question mark over whether or not it draws up that data. It's not covered in here, so we don't really know. But what it allows you to do is you switch Aimee on, and instead of sitting in your inbox and getting bombarded with emails all the time, Aimee will just start to analyze that and pull real-time data from the context of what's going on in your inbox with the context of what it can see in other products like Intuit, for example, and then give you answers and support and responses to this. This, I don't think, is particularly new. We're seeing this in a few other products that are both here in the UK market and European markets, but also in the US. So there's a fair amount of competition in this, and this is something that a lot of people are trying to work at. The other product which I mentioned, which is Paige, is a product that's designed specifically for accountants and not for clients. And this is being branded as an analytical tool, which effectively will help you to kind of like review and cleanse your QuickBooks or your accounting ledger data. And I guess this is kind of like the AI equivalent of your I don't know, Dex Precision, maybe, let's say, for example, or Expert, where it's going in, it's looking at your data, it's trying to find out, are there inconsistencies in the data, or are there maybe like GST, VAT problems, for example, where that's relevant. And then it will basically create a report back to you and sort of say, hey, John, hey, Ryan, these are the things that I found. You might want to drill into this and sort of see if this needs to be fixed. I think it's an interesting take on tools that are already out there in the wild. I guess the question mark is, is this really adding significant value? Is it time saving over what's already out there? Or is this just a different way of just a different way of creating that kind of report? And I guess if it's just a different way of creating the report, you're probably just going to stick with the tools that you've got, unless there's a way of kind of going in and correcting some of these problems through the language model itself, and not having to intervene yourself manually, because I think that's where you could find the real time saving.
I mean, from the way you summarized those two products, I'm not sure how it's preventing distraction. I was really, really interested, especially if it could prevent distraction from children. Then I was like, I'm in. It just doesn't matter. I'm just giving you my money. Doesn't matter how much it is.
Do you not put them in a cage? That's what most people do, right?
I've tried that. The social services came around and they're now watching me. But but no, it's I think it's that change of working from home, right? Within the time frame the kids are not at school, then there's noise going on in the background that always means you can't 100% focus. But yeah,
I agree.
Emails, Slack, there's constant pings nowadays that distract you from your train of thought, and trying to get that shut down in an effective way whilst you're still being responsive promptly is always a challenge.
And I think, like you say, it's not just the sort of technology distractions, it's all the other physical distractions around you, whether you're working from home or in the office. How an AI is going to stop someone walking up to your desk and asking you a question, or how AI is going to stop your daughter or son coming up to you and saying, oh, when's lunchtime? Can you feed me? Or whatever it might be. It's just not going to work, right?
Yeah, and there's a balance, because there's a reason we get interrupted. We could shut the door if you go back to the old style, but then there was a thing where you need an open door policy because the people you're supporting, your junior team, need guidance, or they get stuck and they sit there and waste time. So there's always a balance that you need to draw here. And I think that sometimes there's too much of a focus in that we're always getting distracted. I do like the email thing. I do like what they're trying to do with the email. And as you say, it's not necessarily new, but it can be focused down from the accounting sector, just like Vinyl is focused from the AI note taker for the accounting sector. I think it could be really powerful.